Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Hello, Rami and Kerri, and I'd like to introduce to you all our guest today, Kerri Hummingbird, and we're so thankful she's here. And I'm going to read her bio here, so you can all learn more about her. Kerri Hummingbird is a medicine woman, mother, and mentor, and she's the founder of Inner Medicine Training, a mystery school that shares potent ancient traditions from the Andes and Himalayas for owning your wisdom and living your purpose. She is the #1 international best-selling author of Inner Medicine, Becoming One with Mother Earth for the Survival of Humanity. This book was on the international bestseller charts for over 29 weeks. She's also author of Love is Fierce, Healing the Mother Wound, and The Second Wave, Transcending the Human Drama, which was on the international bestseller charts for over 237 weeks. And she's the author of the award-winning best-selling book, Awakening to Me, One Woman's Journey to Self-Love, which describes the early years of her spiritual awakening. As the host of Soul Nectar Show, Miss Hummingbird inspires people to lead their lives wide awake with an authenticity, passion, and purpose that positively impacts others. As a healer and mentor, she catalyzes mind shifts that transform life challenges into gifts of wisdom. And she's offered a free gift to everyone who would like to. It's a medicine meditation pack, and it's free, and the link will be down below. And great, Kerri, what an awesome bio. Um, yeah, as an author myself, of course, I've just done one book, but I have plans for others that are kind of on the horizon when it's the right time. And so I really appreciate the focus and time, right, and investment it takes not just to write, but to put it together in the right way. And so kudos to you. That's awesome. And they sound so interesting. Um, I would like to know, to start our podcast today, I'd really like to know more about how and why you started your healing journey and the work you do now. It can go as specific as you'd like to, or as general as you'd like to. So,
Okay. Yeah, so I think I started my healing journey probably at 16, 15,
awesome.
and the reason why was to feel better about my life. I was suicidal and I didn't want to be here. I was pretty young to feel that way. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I you know how teenagers are very dramatic, and I was very dramatic, and I started taking these pills, these Tylenol with codeine that my parents had in the cabinet because my dad had come home early from work and caught me with a boy. And so I was devastated that he had seen that, and I wanted to just be gone from the planet. And he wouldn't talk to me because he was so offended and so hurt and so, just wounded from it. And so I tried to get his attention by taking the pills.
Mm.
And every time I took one of those pills, some part of me said, don't do this. But the other parts were like, but I want it, but I feel bad and I want to hurt myself.
Yeah.
So that's when I really started realizing that if I was going to survive this life, I was going to have to get some help. And my parents put me up with a psychiatrist who was an actual psychiatrist, not the kind we have today that just prescribe pills, but like somebody who's actually like Jungian, somebody who's deep, somebody who's like really trained in psychology from the deepest levels and was there to support me on my journey. I was very fortunate to have an actual psychiatrist and very powerful journey with this person early in my life. And then I got better, for a while, but I always kept going back to the psychotherapy. I always kept going back to, okay, I would notice I would take a downward spiral, and I'd go, okay, I need to go get some more help. So I would willingly choose to go get more help, and so I did that in through most of my life up until 2011. That was my solution. I went to the experts that everyone said to go to, right? And they did their best. They honestly, they did their best to help me. And I even took the not feeling pills for a while right after my first child was born. Went into postpartum depression. That's when I started the not feeling pills. I took those for 13 years. And so at the end of all of that in 2011, things had just evolved into an even worse place. It's like, okay, now I have 2 kids. Now it's not getting better. I'm acting out. I'm like drinking a bottle of wine a day, just to numb the pain. And it's still not enough, even with the not feeling pills. So like, it's just like too painful to be here. And I also had moments of joy. So I point at like, the
I think we lost her temporarily.
many of people that knew me wouldn't even have thought that I had those issues, right? Because we all cover them up. We all keep them private. And then we go and see our therapist and we talk about it there, but we act like we're fine in public. And that was me. I was very proactive. People saw me as very can do attitude. I was very sought after with my work because I was so proficient and so good at it. And I had a positive attitude. And so that's what everyone would think about me. I took on public service work. I took on civic work. I was always doing something like that. But privately, I was crumbling inside and trying to find a way to love myself, really to love myself and trust myself. And so at the end of all of that, I finally said, this model isn't working for me. It's like I've been trying. I'm a smart cookie. Like if you try something for 25 years and you still feel like crap, maybe you need to try something else. You might need to open up to another solution. And that other solution had been trying to peek its head at me, for years. And I would take my kid, my baby when he was young, and I would stroll around the neighborhood and I would walk right past. I lived in College Park in San Jose, for those of you who know that area. And I would stand right in front of the Center of Spiritual Enlightenment.
Hmm.
And then I would turn around and walk away. Like I would just walk away. I mean, so many days I would stand there and look at the entrance and I wouldn't walk in. And so 2011, I said, that's enough. That's enough. There's something more coming to. I'd been having nightmares, like waking up nightmares and suicidal again. And now I have 2 little babies. So, they're like in grade school. They need their mama. They need me to be happy. Like not just sometimes and not just after I drank some wine, but like all the time. So that's when I made the decision to leave the relationship, to leave psychotherapy, and to just go, all right, I'm just stopping those patterns because they're not working for me. So even though everyone says that's the way to do it, it obviously isn't for me. So there's something else. And that's when my whole life changed. And I met people who were on the spiritual journey, who started waking me up to my spiritual self, who started connecting me with the larger body of Mother Earth. Once I got connected to Mother Earth and to my body and I started waking up, it was like a whole different scenario. And that's since 2011. So I was really down in the dumps. Like 2011, I was like diagnosed and, you're going to be like this the rest of your life. You're a total train wreck. It's never going to change, that kind of story,
Oh,
to like today. I've got like all these best-selling books. I'm leading a community. I'm solid. I'm grounded. I'm a speaker. I've got a top 5% podcast. Like this a whole different story going on here. And I'm pretty much transparently the same just about everywhere. So this is how I am. No matter if you find me at home or you find me at the grocery store or you find me, this is me. So that I think is a huge success story. And I like to share that with people because I know how rough it is. I know how hard it is to be on this planet and all the heaviness, the density, the ancestral patterns, the stuff that you're talking about, Carla, like all that medicine that you bring with talking with the ancestors. So much of what we are carrying as burdens is coming from another life, coming from our ancestry, coming from, and not to blame the ancestors whatsoever, but it's like coming from these places of density and heaviness that we carry in our bodies. And it's beyond like, it doesn't make sense because it's not what's happening right now. Right. Like, so our mind
right.
cannot process, why am I so upset when my life is great? I had a good career. I
Mhm.
had 2 wonderful kids. I had a beautiful husband. We traveled and we had so much fun. Right. So why am I like this? Why is this happening? And so when we don't have the larger spiritual context, when we don't have the larger multidimensional context, we can't make sense of it. So I get out there and I just encourage people, like, this is not woo, this is life. Like, if you want to feel better, you got to open to your spiritual side and start the journey.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that's I guess that's why in my work I focus on the spiritual side also, because the physical symptoms are just caused by emotional patterns, right, that we hold wrong, and the emotional patterns are just there because we're not in alignment spiritually, basically. And so I go to the cause. So
Yeah.
in your journey then, I mean, you've talked about some, but is there other like something really unexpected you discovered along the way?
Oh yeah. I mean, let's just say miracles and mystical moments have been abounding in my life since I turned
Awesome.
the corner and I said yes. And I'll just share one of them. I mean, you can understand I needed a lot of encouragement from my spirit guides, because I was so down in the dark and I was so like caved up in my suffering that it took a lot to kind of pull me out of that space so that I could see that I was always loved and always held. So that's the context. And so I started training to be a healer, and I started studying with many shamanic excellent teachers that are well known in the field. Alberto Vialdo at the Four Winds Life Body School. I completed that training, worked with Heather Ashimara, who studied with Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four Agreements. So like I had like big hitting shamanic teachers, right? Like I went to the guns. I was like, I need ammunition for this depression, this sadness, this stuff that's weighing me down. So I remember I was studying with Jose and Lena Stevens and going on a vision quest light, like modified. I mean, for Caucasian Western people, it's like much easier. We're not doing the full thing. Okay. But it was like a vision quest. I was supposed to stay by myself and be in the woods for 3 days without any technology, without any left brain things, only and just relax, like sit and do nothing, which I was not good at. And so I did. By the time like 2 hours had gone by in the first day, I was supposed to be there 3 days. I'd already like set up the medicine wheel, got my camp set, and started an earth painting. And I was like, okay, what's next? It was like, do nothing. What are you talking about? So I found this huge rock, and it looked like a stage. And I'm a sage. Clearly, I like to tell stories. You can tell, like, I'm a storyteller. So I got up on the stage and I just started singing to the woods. And I was just singing an Icaro. I was calling in support, calling in the mountains, calling in the plants, calling in the animals, just whatever my heart in that moment, and just calling it in, calling it in, calling it in. And then I had this little giggle inside of me, this little silly giggle. And I called in Hummingbird. And lo and behold, a hummingbird flies through the woods to right in front of my third eye, like literally hovers like a ruler's distance from my third eye and hangs out there.
Wow.
And I'm like looking around, who else can see this? Like nobody, me. And I'm like, whoa. And it stays there for a really long time. And I was like, I mean, by now I've stopped singing clearly. I'm like, ugh. And I looked inside and I was like, what's the message of this? And I heard this, like, when you call, we come every single time.
Ah,
And I said, I think that's what you're saying to me. And it literally nodded its little head and flew off through the forest. Because I needed that big demonstration of love. I needed spirit. And I'm feeling emotional because I can feel the collective. I know that we're struggling. I know that there's a lot of pain. And I can feel it. I'm tapped in. That's another thing I know about myself now. Like my astrology is like deep Scorpio in the 12th house. It's like Scorpio moon in the 12th house. And I'm Cancer mama. So like I'm all about the mama holding the baby. And so of
mhm.
course I feel it when people are struggling. I feel it. And now that I understand what it is, I know it's like it's not just about me. Like I'm feeling more than just me. I'm feeling our collective. I'm feeling the pain that's out there. And so I just want to say for anybody listening, like If you open and you ask for demonstration that you are held and loved, I promise you will receive it. You absolutely will. And I encourage everyone to just open to that possibility every day with some kind of ritual. I mean, all of my books have an invocation to open sacred space, to call in the south, the west, the north, the east, the ancestors, the guides, the earth, Father Sky, Father Sun, Grandmother Moon. I have these invocations to call it in. And so I just welcome anyone to practice that or whatever method you have of allowing the divine to support you every single day. And I promise, like, miracles happen.
Yeah, trees have been very much my wisdom go to, when I need support, when I need or emotional support, or even physical support, or a word of wisdom. That trees are my go to. But the whole universe responds, right? Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. We live in such a wonderful um, habitation, I guess, for I don't know what other word to use. And we don't know, right? We grow our whole lives, and as children, we probably have a little. Um, I know children probably understand or at least relate to it more, right? But then you lose it because the adults don't support you in thinking that, because they don't know it, they don't remember anymore, and then you go your whole life or until you wake up, right? And it's like, how can we miss it? And it's right here, and it's so awesome and beautiful.
Yeah, and I wish parents would just encourage their kids to have their imaginary friends. There's a great movie out called If, and it's so fun because it's people's imaginary friends from childhood trying to like connect with them as adults. And it's just a really sweet movie. But it
Mm.
prompted me to ask my mom. I was like, I remember that I had an imaginary fairy friend that lived in the upper corner of my room. And she's like, "Oh, Kerri, you had imaginary friends like everywhere. You were always talking to all these imaginary friends, and I couldn't see any of them." And I was like, "You told me they weren't real, didn't you?" And she's like, "Yeah." But like they were real. They've always been real. They surround us. All we have to do is open up and receive their love and their guidance and their support, and they're here to watch over us and to guide us and support us and keep us company on this journey on earth, this solo journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the pain that you feel, that the world feels right now, or so many people, what do you feel is the predominant cause, or predominant, I don't know, locality, or
I think it's really disillusionment. It's like so much disillusionment about, like, for example, the Holy Land, you know, basically eradicating people who are killing children and women and in masses. This is like very disillusioning for so many people to see this and to say this is the epicenter of our holiness. It's proclaimed itself, the Holy Land. And in the Holy Land are women and children being massacred daily. That's very disillusioning.
sure. Well, and
I mean, things like that. I mean, we've seen things since 2020. We've seen so many things in the world, right, that are just to us just so to travesty. And
oh,
we don't know what to
absolutely,
do
yeah.
with that information. We've been lied to. We know we've been lied to now, right?
Oh, yeah,
Whatever side
yeah,
you are on the vaccine conversation, like we know we've been lied to. We know that
right.
we have been gaslighted. So it's like even people leaving churches in droves, leaving their church institutions, leaving their religions because they know they've been lied to, taken advantage
Right,
of. So like deep
right.
disillusionment. Like where's your new foundation? But I want to say, like, it's all for a purpose. I believe in the divine design, and I believe that we can only see the little tiny bit that we can see from our perspective and our limited life. We don't necessarily all get the opportunity to see the arc of the transformation. And so if we were able to see that arc, we would probably see that this moment has intense chaos to shake us loose out of codependent structures and out of looking out there for God source creator and coming
Mhm.
inside. So it's like the boughs of the tree are being shook. So we can come inside and find the truth within ourselves, and we can know that it's always with us. It's never going anywhere. We don't need an intermediary to access
Mhm.
our own divine source. Like, it's
Right.
inside.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
being shook out of all of these structures of codependency and like, kind of like all the things that have been placed in between us and God source creator are being removed. Which is good,
Yeah.
right? But it's super
It
uncomfortable
is
and
good.
disillusioning.
It is good. Yeah, yeah, I saw that a lot during COVID or afterwards. It's like many people awakened to this a spiritual life that they didn't have before, or or could see nature in a new way, or just had more clarity for their life ahead. And yeah, it's the joy is worth the pain, right? That's what I come back to.
Yeah, joy comes from pain. I mean, joy is an enriching energy, right? That you
Hmm.
can have once you fertilize the soil. And the soil is you. It's like that lotus blossom, right? And the mud is the suffering, the pain, feeling it to heal it, being in your body, being totally present with everything going on and being able to feel and hold all of that with love. Then the joy comes from that. So, like, my desire to be here at this time on the planet has everything to do with my starting out right at 15 going, I'm going to self harm. I don't want to be here. So, that journey has created such a depth within me that I can hold tremendous pain. I can be present with pain. I can feel this pain in the collective, and I don't have to close myself to it or wall myself off or take the not feeling pills, or, I don't have to distance myself. I can be present with it and I can completely understand it. And also, I don't have to feed it, right? So there's like, I don't need to feed that. I just see that it's part of the process. And in my own personal life now, things are way more joyful. Like, things are like, I still have challenges. It's not, we're always going to have adversities to move through, initiations, right? But the way that I move through them is so much more light and joyful and wise and, grounded and big picture, the big picture, not in the weeds.
Right. And I guess I've been looking into also that well, it's not just us as the living with the pain, right? The ancestors and the pain they had in their life, if they weren't to a place spiritually where they could transcend that and go to the next realm, then they're still in their pain around us. And then the land that they lived on, or if they're surrounding you now in the land you live in your pain, then the land needs healing too, right?
Mhm.
And I think, of course, the land is healed as the people are healed. um
Mhm.
Definitely.
That's that other
But
reason to do your opening sacred space every day or however you do that. I have a crystal grid on my property to help elevate the vibration of this land. And then, yeah, we've got lots of helpful spirits that come in because they want to see heaven on earth again. They want to see this. And so they're
yes,
very eager to
yes.
support us in creating heaven on earth. So when you like make that intention that that's what you're doing on in your body as a garden of earth, because your body is a garden of earth, you get to create heaven on earth inside your body. And then whatever land you're stewarding, you can also create that. And that's what I call earth keeping. Just because the Andean shamans, that's what they are. They're earth keepers. They're here to teaching us to steward the earth rather than take from the earth, but to become stewards of the earth. And like you're saying, become stewards of the ancestry in healing, become stewards of the multidimensional reality happening here on this planet. And we're here to do that. And I do think it's unique because, elder women, we've been through it. Like we've been through all of this stuff, for like 50, 60 years, 70 years. And we have this wisdom from experience now that we can plant our roots like grandmother tree and grow a beautiful forest for others to
Right.
join us, right? And we can tell good stories, and we can set the course and the direction because we have that eagle perspective. And this is another thing that's been missing in our culture is valuing elders, right? Because they've been shunted off into nursing homes and forgotten. And so there's a whole lot of rewiring happening right now on the planet. And we're
Yeah.
kind of, we're reinstituting some of the structures that were in place when there was harmony on this planet. And one of those is valuing elder wisdom.
Right. I was just remembering myself. I get, well, obviously, I mean, I work with ancestors now, and so that's why I was the way I was. Earlier in life, it was like I liked the elderly. I loved to learn from them. It was like I
Mhm.
loved to go visit the great aunts and the great uncles and grandparents and learn from them. And as a former administrator of a nursing home, it's like that was my favorite part of work, was getting to go into one of the residents' rooms when they were there and sit and listen, or tell them what I was working on and ask them for their thoughts of how they handled things like that in their life. And oh, it was, it was beautiful.
Yeah, there's so much wisdom in there, and it's from lived experience. It's not necessarily just learned in a book, right? Like we have
Mhm.
we have a generation now that wants to learn things in 30 seconds on TikTok, you know?
And getting shorter and shorter. That's what I
Yeah,
was reading
my
the
my
other day.
attention span is now down to 5 seconds. I
Yeah.
can't even say 2 words in 5 seconds. So, I need at least an hour, to bring the energy to a place where you can drop into yourself. And this is what
Yes.
they
Yeah.
really don't understand in this generation. And even women my age, I'm 55. There's even women my age who are like that. And I think it has to do with being uncomfortable. I think it's like not wanting to slow down because they don't want to feel what's underneath that's been stacking up while they've been busy, 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 go, go, go. They don't want to feel that pain. And so then what do we have? We have a pandemic that everybody is laid out on their asses for, a good year, confined to their homes, so you'll stop doing that and listen.
Well, exactly. I can see that. And I didn't realize it at the time, but so much during my life, it was like the busyness, right? Of like you had talked of, good projects that you worked on, right? Or helping communities or helping people. And so, or just your 40 or 50 or 60-hour work week. And then you have a family and you add that to it and you keep all this busyness going. And even when my boys were growing, it was like I had work, of course, but I couldn't just go home and stay there. I had to run here. And then I made reasons, right? I wanted to go to this store and that store, or, have coffee with someone and do this. And yes, it wasn't until the pandemic and we had moved here to this little, tiny, tiny town. And it was like, I leave I leave my yard twice a day to walk the dog, right? Or to visit a neighbor, or whatever. But it's like, otherwise, I leave town once a week and I love it.
It
It,
simplifies things. It does. It provides
yes,
more opportunity for depth and reflection.
it does. It's beautiful. Yeah. And I look back on the years of having these reasons where I felt I needed to always be on the go. And it must have been the inside not being happy, right? And not, but couldn't allow myself to sit in that.
I actually ran like I started running when we moved to Texas. We left Silicon Valley because it was just too much. And so I left a lot of my civic and charitable operations in Silicon Valley and came to Texas. And my only job was to try to be a mother, and that was it. Like cut all the stuff out, Carrie, just try to be a mom. And that was so hard, and pretty soon I had another art business I started because I couldn't sit still. Because and also my mind would wander. I don't know if anybody else has this experience, but like I would relive things over and over and over and over again in my mind. Like I was constantly cycling and reviewing and analyzing, and it would
Yeah.
never leave me alone. Like it was constantly busy. And so I started running just to get away from my mind. So like I started running half marathons and marathons. I ran two full marathons and about 13, 14 half marathons because and then I would train for it. So just think about all the running I was doing. But I would have to run for literally like 6 miles before I would see the sun was shining. Like, "Oh, the sun's shining. It's a beautiful day." Like it literally would take me 6 miles before I could see the sun. Wow.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
mean, that and I see people running out there now and I go, "I know where you're at. I see it. I used to do that. I used to have to run in order to feel good, just to get peace from the brain and the
Mm.
stress and the to-do list and the anxiety and the constant self-assessment and reviewing and analysis and self-judgment. I mean, it was just like, and this is why people get sick, and I'm convinced this is why so many people go to elderly homes sooner rather than later, because that rat race, it wears you out. You have no more energy left with that. So I love this, like this return to the homestead, right? Like this return to sequestering yourself in some peaceful, tranquil environment and putting your roots down, and sitting on the porch and rocking on your rocking chair, and just taking a
Right.
breath, or being by the beach, being by the ocean and just feeling the ocean breeze and there's nothing to do and there's just being. And this is what I was telling you at the beginning, like the Andes, they don't do a lot. They're not into doing. This is totally a Western thing. The Andes are not about doing, they're about being.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like what we were saying, talking ahead of time, I've been studying the moon calendars versus I shouldn't say versus, but the moon calendar and the zodiac. And of course, I've known about the Gregorian, and my husband and I used to keep the lunar solar calendar that we thought was closest to what the ancient Hebrews used to keep. And but even that wasn't what it's. I mean, yes, the moon cycles was the same, but it still was a planned calendar. It's like I think the planned scheduled calendar, although it brings us good things like just to I was thinking this morning, I was out in the garden and I thought how wonderful it would be if I could just keep working and just quit when I wanted to or walk the dog and quit when I wanted to. But I knew I had this, right? And I had to do all these things ahead of time. And so I was out picking spinach and I was out picking mustard greens and accumulating all the dead weeds that I'd pulled up. They're dead now. I pulled them out of the ground, so I had to pick them up off the ground so we could mow and all this stuff. And I realized when I was picking the greens, it was like, wait, I haven't even told them thank you as I'm picking them. And so
Yeah.
I took time to do that. And I thought, yes, time is a wonderful thing in order to pinpoint a time so that the three of us could meet here together, right? And have this discussion. And so that all of you who are listening at whatever time you're listening can listen and gain whatever insight you might gain or just the community feeling. And but if we didn't have that, how much more fulfilling life would be. Like, I was doing a biofield tuning of my husband and I yesterday and or Sunday, I don't remember. And and it was like I just started, and this huge message came flooding over me through the spirit as I work in the biofield, which is our spirit. And it was like, because my intention for the tuning was, it was like, what else? What do we need? To my journey has been a lot of getting out of the mindset of lack into the mindset of abundance. And it's not just about money, it's about life, right? And so it was like my intention was, well, we've come so far and done so much, and we still do a lot to whatever we can to maintain that mindset of abundance and grow that. And it was like, what else do we need? And it was like this huge message came flooding over. You need to play. And the
Yeah.
play isn't about
Mhm.
running here to go to this entertainment thing,
It's not
or running
distraction
here.
play.
Right, it's not distraction play, it's not running to the ball games, it's it's being, right, being
Mhm.
in joy, um lightheartedness. And absolutely, um that's a big subject too. But um
Yeah, so, I mean, that's part of what when I studied with the 4 winds and I received the transmissions of the Moonai Key, which are these transmissions of archetypal energies that have been handed down from generation to generation to generation in many of these tribal cultures in Peru and South America. And these are passed down to support people in having inner strength, inner medicine, inner power, right? To know themselves as sovereign. This is the old tribal societies. That's what they do. The indigenous societies, they have a talking stick circle. Everybody gets to share their perspective. Everybody's an equal member of the tribe. There's no like, you know, up and down. That's us. Anyway, so in this, the hummingbird archetype comes into the will center. And the hummingbird archetype, we all love hummingbirds. I mean, who doesn't? We love seeing them dart from nectar to flower and they're always able to find their nectar. How do they do that? And they're so delightful. They're so beautiful. And they're really vulnerable, actually. They're quite vulnerable creatures. They require a lot of sustenance to keep alive. They can't go for very long without food, without nectar. And yet they take this epic journey, from South America all the way to North America, and they survive it year after year after year. How do they do that? And so we receive this archetypal energy of hummingbird in our will center to support us in surrendering to divine will. And divine will is like the divine child. So hummingbird opens us up to that divine child. And that's the one that we can get back in touch with. Like if you've had like a difficult childhood, you might not have played, the way other kids did. You might not have had that experience. But with the hummingbird opening up that divine child, you can experience that as an adult. And then you act really silly and do stupid shit, crap like me, and it's like, what is she doing? Well, I've got hummingbird and my divine child got activated again. So it's that imagination, it's that creativity, it's that play, it's that like spontaneity. It's the, I'll try this, it's adventure, and it's beautiful. It's so much fun. And it can open up like beautiful imagination and creativity and super fun, right? And so that's what we need more of. Yeah, absolutely. Just as much as we need the other archetypes, we need, Jaguar to help us to know our truth. We need Sachamama help us connect with Mother Earth. We need the eagle perspective of the elder. But we also need the child. We need the divine child. We need the playfulness. We need the innocence. We need to return to that innocence and embrace it and let ourselves just have fun. So what? Like if you waste an afternoon, it's not a waste. It's fun, right? Like so what? Put it aside. There's often days that I'll just I'll just go, do I want to do this schedule? And if it's no, I'm like, okay, rescheduling, and I'll just change my calendar because I don't, I work for myself. So, I mean, ultimately I work for spirit, but if it's really needed, I'll do it. But if I don't feel like it, I won't. I won't make myself. I don't make myself do stuff that I don't want to do. So I always have to ask, is this a should or a have to, or is this that I want to?
Yeah, I think those are great questions. Well, I
Only
find
from
that
life experience,
well,
from a
I find
lot of
that
years of forcing myself to do stuff, right?
oh, absolutely, yeah. Um, and I find, like, every Friday or most every Friday, I my husband and I babysit our 2.5-year-old granddaughter,
Oh,
and,
that's playful.
it's playful, right? But it's like, at the same time, the well, 2 things. 1, the busyness of the day, we're just worn out
Oh,
at the end
yeah.
of the day, completely worn out. But the other part is, though, I find my mind, it's hard to stay with her play. I mean, I can focus and play on the building blocks or with the puzzle or with this sandbox or and for a length of time, right? And then it's like I'm pulled away to um, whatever my mind is thinking needs to be done, like pulling weeds while she's playing or something. It's
I think children are an amazing, teachers of presence.
Mhm.
They really, because they are
yeah,
totally present. They don't have agendas,
absolutely.
like, they're just in the moment with the inspiration.
What age do you think agendas start?
I think it starts whenever the wounding starts, honestly. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Rami, we haven't
Well,
heard from you, but I feel like that starts with wounding. I mean, I got really serious as a little kid really fast. I was a serious little kid. There's these pictures of me at like 3 years old with dark circles under my eyes and like just like low energy and just scared. There was this scary time. And I
Yeah.
remember when my stepdad said he met me first at this apartment complex my mom had moved to with the first step-husband who was a violent drunk. And so, it didn't exactly help the situation. It was like frying pan, fire. So, we I met my second stepdad who would turn out to be my father the rest of my life. He passed away in 2017. But he met me on the stairs and he's like, "You were like so afraid. You were so skeptical." And I was 5. Already an adult inside my body looking at him like, "Can I trust you?" I don't trust you.
Right.
And so I see lots of kids when I see that in their eyes, I'm like, "Oh," it breaks my heart. I see them and I'm like, "Okay, I see where you're at." Shy and afraid of
Yeah.
of everyone. So it can start early. But then I see other kids that are bouncing and playing and it's delightful, but then like to be honest, a little piece of me would be kind of jealous, like, "Aren't you lucky?
Mm.
You got like the fun lifetime where your parents are nice to you, like you
Yeah.
you're actually getting a childhood, and so a little piece of me feels a little jealousy. I've had to work on that, because of course I want everyone, if they have that experience, relish that. That's a beautiful gift.
Yeah. I think like you, because my wounding started in the womb and again at 3. And I mean, there was many happy times in my life, and I remember crazy times or funny times just playing with my sister or and things like that. Um, but yeah, I was mostly that scared, shy little girl.
How about you, Amy? Were you scared and shy too?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I um, I think it started in the womb because I was born in a concentration camp. But coming to America, I didn't know the language. I didn't know anything. And my parents didn't read nursery rhymes to me. We were just focused on surviving and learning and trying to adapt to this new country. And yeah, I was always scared. Yeah, yeah. But I did play, thank God, as I found a way to play with paper dolls. I like those. And someone introduced me to Parcheesi. I remember that game. and but not a lot of play. You're right. You need, and I still need a lot of play. I still need a lot of play. And met a woman not too long ago. That's her whole business is play. She creates play dates with people, women mostly, and they play for the day. And I don't know what they do, but it's important, very important. And we get so serious and bogged down with our work, and we stay in our head too much. We need to notice the signs, because you know when you're going down, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's your sign to stop and go to the heart. Bring it all back. Meditation is a game changer. Bring it all back. Right here, right now, we're okay. Right now, it's beautiful. It's a wonderful day. I'm on a podcast. So forth and so on. Grateful. Meditation, gratitude, movement, all these things can make your day better, because we all tend to stay in our head too much, because that's how we were raised. No one talked about the heart. No one talked about
Right.
playing unless you had the exceptional parent that, encouraged it. But yeah, it's constantly reminding and going over the same new, which is not new. We've been doing this for years, right? And I think we'll do it till we pass. It'll get easier and easier. I think. I really do. Yeah, that's what I think.
It's interesting because that this topic's coming up because we're in this portal right now. I just found out today that we're in a 6/6 portal for the new moon, which is all
Hmm.
about how well you're mothering yourself. Like, how do you mother yourself? And she said something that caught my
Hmm.
attention, which was, do you mother yourself from the stern mother, or do you mother yourself from the unconditional love mother? And I was like, oh, the stern mother definitely has a voice in my head,
Oh, mine
Oh yeah.
too.
like,
Yeah.
because
Oh
it's
yeah.
not safe. Like, you were born in a concentration camp. Like, when you're born in danger, my experience of that was like, if I acted out as a kid, my mom could get beaten.
Right.
So I
True.
had to not be a child so as
Right.
to not piss off the guy in the house who would take vengeance upon my
Yeah.
mother for it. So this is like where we've, whatever reason we chose to come in to do this, because who would
Right.
choose that? But we chose it for some reason. And then I feel like I've heard from other shamanic teachers that oftentimes when people come in like we did and we have this loss of childhood, that child actually gets insulated from the world and put on like sort of this back safe space. That then later on, when we have our journey midlife and we open up to our healing, then we become the mother of our inner child. And then we have this reawakening of that innocence and that joy and that love and that laughter. And for me, I feel like that's been the hummingbird journey. Hummingbird came to me and was like, Kerri, it's literally okay. Like, let's play. You don't have to be on the lookout all the time. Like, because I used to feel like I had to have eyes in the back of my head just to keep whatever from attacking me. I don't know if you guys ever felt that, but like I felt like I constantly had to be, looking over my shoulder and protecting myself for a good part of my life. And now it's like I don't have to do that. But I'm 55. So like you
Hmm.
wonder like what would it be like, I see these little kids in some of my communities I participate in who have these great parents and they're all about love and unconditional and helping the child claim their power and be creative and be playful and all this stuff that I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I want you as a parent.
It
I
is.
told I told them, I'm like, I want to come back and have you as a parent. Like, I like this, not to say anything about my mom, because my mom is fantastic. She was doing the best she could with the tools she had at the time. And the environment that she was in wasn't very safe. So yeah, we have this
Right.
opportunity now.
Right. And that's it. We have to remember that we chose to come here. So for us to go, oh, I wish I had a different parent.
It's kind of like a little
No.
too little, little too late. No, you chose your curriculum.
Yeah. it's all going to turn out really well. It really is. I really believe that with all my heart. I believe that because I think, like, why did I choose this life? Oh, I know why, because I'm going to change it. Change it so I am playful, I am joyful, I am who I am, and I'm going to allow my kids to be who they are, and just throw away that old programming. It's
Burning and
old.
releasing it. You can
Yeah,
only burn and release that which you have experienced and embodied,
exactly.
right? And so
Right.
if we're here
Right.
for the planet, we're burning and releasing all those just negative patterns, as terrible child abuse patterns. We're burning and releasing that. And we're calling forth,
Right.
like you said, Rami, we're calling forth the divine child, the innocence, the heaven on earth,
Right. Right.
because that's who
And
we are.
exactly. Exactly. We
'Cause
really
that's
are.
who we
And
are.
and I teach everyone this lately. If you
Mhm.
feel bad, it's because you're believing you're in your old story. Get out of there. Just
There you
hurry up,
go.
get on over.
That's
Drop in
right.
your heart, do whatever you need to do. And sometimes it's just take a breath, 3
Or run
breaths,
5 miles, you know,
or
like,
run 5 miles, or color, or walk, or I mean,
or
there's just so
dance.
much. Yeah, dance in
Yeah.
your room. Yeah.
Or
No
just
one's
get really good at
looking.
yogic breathing, you know, like there's all kinds of remedies. It's just find your
Oh,
one you
there.
like the best.
Mhm.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
we probably all have a box full of remedies because we
Oh,
don't
I have
stick
like
with
a
one.
whole bag, you know, like,
Right.
which
Right.
one
It's
am I using
fun.
today?
Yeah. Right. Right. And it always comes up, the one you need, because I forget to breathe most of the time. So I meditate, if something comes up, and I'm so grateful that I have these tools. And I'm grateful that people call me and say I'm back where, in the slump. What can I do? And I just tell them, and it's 5 minutes and on their way. So that's good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that grandmother tree I was
yeah.
talking about. I mean, that's the invitation. The invitation is to be the grandmother tree and be that rooted, grounded space of unconditional love and acceptance. And the other thing is that you can only, like, let's say you're going to teach somebody to swim, but you've only ever been in the shallow end of the pool. You, dude,
Right,
you cannot help somebody. Unless you've been there yourself, you really can't help
right,
anybody. And I think that's also why we chose to go through these really deep experiences, so that we can be deep sea divers. We can help people with the really deep stuff going on earth. Like I said, it's a lot, right? We all feel it. If you're tapped in, you feel it.
right. And but there's people that I have found that are not interested in changing the world.
Exactly. There are those
I mean,
people.
Yeah.
They're called
right,
the friction. They're the friction. They're the grit for the pearl.
right, right. And I have to honor that because, I mean, it's a gift that we have, that we're empathetic and feel so much of this. And I believe we're here to help others. And the ones that, like my husband, he just, why do you care? And I can't help it. I just can't help it. I mean, I don't have to take it all in, but I need to um, filter it out, but I do care. So there's people who don't care, and that's okay too, because they're good at what they do. They're good at, building cars or whatever, but yeah, not everyone does what we do, which is a gift. And we have to remember that as well too. People come to us because they're hurting. And boy, do we know that one, right? So
Yeah.
it's
And
all good.
as we know, we're in the middle of the Great Awakening. So there's going to be some
Mhm.
more awakenings.
Oh yeah.
And we've
Right.
been getting
Right.
ourselves in position. Like, if you, I don't know if you feel this way, but I've been feeling this way for like probably the last 5 years, is that we've been actually this Jennifer Huff calls it the heaven on earth construction crew. She's one of my friends. We've been like getting ourselves in position, like doing our deep shadow work, getting okay, getting good
Right.
boundaries, getting in a
Right.
position where we can help people on a mass level while not taking it on ourselves, and being strong and grounded and rooted, right? And knowing how to play and have joy. And that's so that when it like really lights up. The people
We're
that
gonna be
said,
busy.
I don't care about this, are like, oh my God, like, yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
True.
I
about
agree.
Very
Yeah,
true.
I agree.
SHIT is about to hit the fan. So
Yeah, I think so. I think
Mhm.
so.
yep.
Very much so. It's really intense. I mean, I just,
I'm gonna
whoa.
sell it. I'm gonna be like, woohoo! Finally, you guys are getting why you care about this. Okay, cool.
That's right. Right, right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
roll up your sleeves because
Yeah, exactly.
it's going
I'm
to be
going for a
intense.
little vacation this month because I know it's about to hit. So I'm gonna like, okay, we're gonna go on a week's vacation. I'm only gonna have fun,
Good.
because I got to get
That
ready for
sounds
this
great.
onslaught.
That's good. That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
That is true, true, true. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
you're doing that because we need you and we need each other. So play while you can.
But when we get to the other side of this, I was asking, on the other side of this shift to heaven on earth, is there going to be like wine and margaritas? And they're like, absolutely. Yes. But just like on the other
Right,
side of all of this, because you need your energy for what's about to happen.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, cool, because I
Right.
want to be on the Mai Tai with the beach thing again. I want to do that again
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
my
we got
life.
to take care of
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
That's great. Very beautiful. So, Kerri, in the time we have left here, can I guess if you wanted to tell us more about your work or your books or your offers or where you see yourself in the future, you kind of covered that.
yeah.
So,
Well, I'm growing gardens of new earth. That's what I help people do. Help people grow those gardens of new earth inside their bodies, in their homes, in their families, become earth keepers if that resonates. We have a medicine man and woman and his whole family, his whole lineage going back that are medicine people. Tomas and his wife Lucia, they are Caro medicine people. They hold the space for our community to grow and become earth keepers. And so there's initiations to become an earth keeper, the Moonai Key initiations that I inherited from the Four Winds, and then it's just a body of teachings to learn how to, because let's say not everybody here is from this planet. So I'll also throw that out there before I leave. But, some people are uncomfortable with this level of density. And so these
mhm.
initiations in this path and this medicine wheel teaching helps you to get anchored and grounded on earth so you don't have to be so uncomfortable. So, it's all about Homo Luminous. It's all about awakening the rainbow body. I've actually seen Caro medicine women with the rainbow body all around them. Like taking a photo, there's the rainbow body. You can see it. So this is real.
Awesome.
This is not just an illusion. And these animal allies and these archetypes that we receive seeds of in our chakras, they help us to become strong and wise and grounded and present and patient and loving kindness, which is what we all wish to be. And, and then we practice the gene keys medicine too, which is about linked to the human design. And the gene keys are just a beautiful lyrical offering of Richard Rudd that gives us access to the I Ching medicine, the ancient Chinese wisdom. So there's 64 shadows, 64 gifts, and 64 cities. And we learn all about that for each person's chart. So it's just powerful. It's not a studying thing. It's more like an alignment thing. So you get aligned to the right frequency, to your essence, to your truth. And then the whole fractal starts to come together to support you in doing your greatest work on earth at this time, which is super enriching and powerful. So that's essentially what I do. I help people get aligned to that. And I write books and I do podcasts and stuff like that. So but it's all on my website. Like I said, I did offer that meditation pack for anyone who'd like to try out grounding meditation, a shielding meditation. And then I have a meditation that helps you figure out what's mine and what's theirs. I don't know if anybody has problems with that sometimes, like it gets entangled. Like what piece of this is my part and what piece of this is that person's part. That meditation pack has a meditation so you can visualize it and see it.
Hmm.
And then it has a clearing part that you can clear the stuff that's not yours out of your space. So good, boundaries. So that's all available too. I know you're going to provide the link. So
Yes, yeah. They'll be in the description below, or they already are in the description for the live
yay.
one, and put it again on the
Mhm.
version and video tab. So beautiful. Kerri, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And do you want to leave everyone with one last thought? Or
Yeah, what's coming to me right now is live your life as a ceremony. Walk the beauty way. Create beauty no matter what's given to you. I would say that's been my greatest life lesson is no matter what life hands me, I'm going to create beauty with it
all right, yeah, and play, beauty and play.
and play.
Well, play would be the beauty, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or part of it. Yeah. So wonderful. So thank you, Kerri, for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching today. We're glad you're here. Please like and subscribe if you resonate with anything we've said to help us be found by other people. So we'll catch y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.